Hi, and welcome back for your daily dose of LLE Sports content. We're going to cover the games that took place today in the LCK, LEC, and LCS, as well as preview tomorrow's games in the LPL and LEC. Yes, China will begin their season tomorrow morning, only in a few hours after this video is up. So predictions: I'm 25 and 18. Had a good day today overall. I think I went 8 and 3. I believe was my record today. So a good little run here. I'm going to speed run this because it is so late. So KDF and HLE start us off. HLE go to 2-0. They win 2-0. Viper was my MVP. Played Kesa and Zeri. Late game team fights were the difference in this one. Game 1, HLE set the tone early. They were up only 1.7k gold, but at the same time, they were able to do a lot to affect KDF, get the right people ahead, get objectives, and do what they need to do. In Game 2, KDF were a lot more competitive. They were up actually 900 gold at the end of laning phase. In terms of making plays, they actually made more plays than HLE. To be honest, Dudu had a solo kill onto Doran at one point. Even looking back at Game 1, as I'm trying to do this a little differently than I've been doing it, no, there were no solo kills in Game 1. But HLE really getting ahead towards the end of laning phase, actually. They got a 2v2 kill. And it's actually surprising, even looking at the CS diffs of Game 2 for KDF. Cuz had a 22 CS lead over Peanut in that one. So, in the end, Viper was my MVP because of late game team fights. But Zeka 748, 30% of damage. Delight 2222 at support. Bulldog 444, 34% of damage for KDF. Keep in mind as well, Taeyun into his face off in this one. He got caught out so many times in Game 2. It was terrible. Then we had KT and D+. KT win 2-1 as they go to 2-0. D+ 1-1. Perfect was my MVP as he did the Shy cosplay. Game 2 on the Udyr, I think he went 0-8-7 in a win. And then in Game 3 was the MVP on the Gnar. Key late game team fight. Alti got a couple kills in that one and was able to run with it. Because Game 1, it was KT favored in the early game, but the lead for Kingen in the top lane was massive. It was over 20 CS over Perfect. And honestly, Showmaker looked really good in that one too. Like, if I remember, it serves me correctly, Showmaker was like the MVP of that one. Game 2, Pioshik really got things going. I thought he was very active. Despite it being 4-4, he was at 18 CS at the end of laning phase after 12 minutes. The bot lane also, I had 36 CS for KT with Deft and Barrel, really pacing, aiming, and Kellen. The Lucian Nami looks terrible for pretty much everybody so far this year, and they were no different. But then in Game 2, you have that lead in the bot lane, and in the top lane, D+ say, we're going to go after Udyr and Perfect. And like I said, he went 0-8-7. But the gold lead, the CS diff was nothing for Kingen. Kingen had a 0 CS lead at 12 minutes, despite D+ going up there multiple times. Some people want to blame Lucid for this. Now, Kingen had 39,000 damage, but this game shouldn't have gotten to that late game point if we're going to look at Kingen as the carry. At that point, you might as well have went bot lane and helped aiming and Kellen out. Game 3 was more so KT favored, though. 33 CS lead for Perfect in top lane over, like you said, over Kingen, damn it. But KT were also able to take both objectives, take the Rift Herald. Perfect actually solo killed Kingen at one point in Game 3. So Deft went 10-5-11, 30% of damage. Pioshik 7-4-14 in the jungle. Kingen 5-7-20, 32% of damage in the loss. LEC, Mad Lions, Koi, and BDS start us off. BDS would win. Lebrov was my MVP on Blitzcrank. He was very active all over the damn place. In the laning phase, BDS actually had an 8-5 play advantage. Despite only having a 900 gold lead, I thought Lebrov was just everywhere. And not only that, Elyoya even attempted multiple dives and plays into the bot lane, and Lebrov kind of thwarted them. He was massive in this game. It can't be understated. Even Adam at one point roam to mid lane. Frescowi looked out of place in this one. Frankly, did not look LEC level with his mispositioning, getting caught out multiple times, and you're just like, why the hell are you even there? Supe had one play that made you say, what are we doing? In the early game, that cost him a bit. But one of the biggest glaring things was the late game team fight around Baron, where Mirwin tries to go in there on the Kennen and just seems like, what are we doing here? This is where you ulti in on the Kennen. Like you flash ulti, and it just didn't happen. And he just kind of zooms away because the fight's over because he didn't get involved. Like it was weird miscommunication in my opinion. So those sort of things happened. Ice 9-1-10, 30% of damage. Sheo 2-0-13 in the jungle. Mirwin 1-3-1, 33% of damage in the loss. Rogue and Fnatic. This one was decided by Razork in my opinion. He ends up being MVP on the Vi. He went after the bot lane of Rogue multiple times, got Noah ahead. Noah on the Kalista was able to take that lead and run with it. Although he did not lead the team in damage, he did, I believe, lead them in kills at the end. In terms of plays in this one, it is, what do I have here, 8-4 in favor of Fnatic. Rogue just not actually getting much going. At the end of laning phase, 22 CS lead for Oscarinin in top lane over Sisgenda. It was very lopsided, to say the least. 2.5k gold at 14 minutes. Fnatic, what do I have here? Razork went down there once for 2-0. Noah got a double in that one. That led to a Drake. He went bot lane before that. He went bot lane twice, even well before that during the laning phase. Just very, very, I mean, it was clearly just a situation where, hey, we're going bot lane. We're going to get Noah and June ahead, and we're going to put Comp and Zolis in the dirt. And they actually brought out the Heimer bot lane. It was an interesting bot matchup because it was a Heimer versus Nico as support. Humanoid 416, 28% of damage. Razork 2010. Zolis 052, 27% of damage in the loss. G2 and Heretics. G2 pulled this one out. They kind of just choked them out. Very one-sided. The laning phase, however, was close, 6-5 in G2's favor. Gold lead was 2.5k for G2 though, so I guess, in terms of making plays, it was close. But when it comes to the gold diff, it was sizable. 24 CS lead for Yike, a 36 CS lead for the bot lane of G2. Lilia for Yike was disgusting. I believe it went 7-1-8 without even looking back here. Yeah, 7-1-8, 32%. Put Yike on a carry, and that's where he is best. We saw this last year. We saw this in his LFL career. That is where he shines. And even looking at this laning phase, there were some moments that, Heretics were attempting plays. I memean, hell, they outplayed a dive. They went mid lane a couple times, clearly trying to get perks or at least the center of the rift in a good spot for themselves. But it just wasn't enough. And hell, they didn't get even a CS lead out of that. Caps had an 11 CS lead. The only CS lead they really had was for Wonder in top lane. He was up 8 CS over Broken Blade on a Poppy. What are you going to do with that? In the end, Yike went 7-1-8, 32% of damage. Hansama 4-0-8, Perks 3-2-3, 27% of damage. Giant X and SK win this. It was a sloppy game, if I recall correctly. Isma dying really early in the jungle, giving Patrick on a Draven an early kill, and I thought, shoot, this game's over. But somehow, some way, SK end up bringing it back. The laning phase was, what do I have here? Oh, I didn't even mark it down. What, we got 1, 2, 3, 3-2, 3-3, 4-4. Giants had 5 plays to SK's 4, but SK had the last few to end laning phase, and Gold was tied at 17 minutes, actually. 34 CS lead for Otawamne over Irrelevant, 17 for Peach, but Niski had 34 over Jackie's. Jackie's was on Yone, Niski was on Azir, and at the end, Niski ends up dealing 43% of damage and being very important in team fights. There's a key team fight around Baron that sticks out to me, where they get an early, actually, I think they had the edge in this fight, Giants, but then they kind of threw it away. And Irrelevant had a couple kills on the Renekton, I think, in this one, or was it the one where Niski had a few kills? Niski had a pop-off moment, and Irrelevant did as well. Exekik kind of just going with the flow. He went deathless 5-0-7. There were moments too where Ignar kind of inted his team by blitz hooking the Alistar, which did not help anything. I think Doss went 1-1-16 in the win. So Niski 5-1-9, 43% of damage. Exekik 5-0-7. Patrick 4-3-1, 33% of damage in the loss. KC and Vitality. Vitality win this one. This was a game that nobody deserved to win. It was ugly. It was disgusting. Nobody on that rift really, it did not seem like they wanted to win the game. Vitality had this one in the bag. KC had this one in the bag. Vitality had it in the bag again. KC should have won it again. Bo is on a carry now. No, everyone can stop bitching about Bo not being on a carry. Threw the game away multiple times. Vethio, 12-kill game. He's my MVP. He's not listed here. He didn't even lead the damn team in damage. And frankly, he shouldn't even be MVP because the game was essentially tied, and Karzi finally had enough of the crap and ended this game on the Zaya. Because, I mean, early game was slow. The slowest game we've had today. 5-3 in plays. KC being more active. Bo was doing well, but then he just had his int moments. His moments where he just can't help himself. And it wasn't good. Because, I mean, hell, Vitality were in a good spot. Vethio got 3 kills early on the Ari. Where KC seemed to be winning this game. But in the end, Karzi's the one who ended up saving us all. 9-3-10, 37% of damage. Photon 117 at the best KDA. Excuse me. Seiken 9-3-3 on Tristana. He probably was the most... Well, him and Karzi, I guess, and Photon. These 3 players, it's probably fair to put these 3 players on here. None of them inted today. Frankly, I don't think they inted at all. Seiken played his best game he's played. He played on the Tristana. He played aggressive when he needed to. And in the end, it didn't end up coming to fruition. But I thought that he played very well. 34% of damage. LCS, Team Liquid, Shopify Rebellion. Impact ends up being MVP on the Udyr. I thought that, in the late game team fights, and I keep saying this, but when these games are close at the end, it comes down to who played in the team fights the best. And Impact just went in there on the Udyr and just tanked all the damage, dealt damage, and honestly was the difference. Clearly, that was what TL's objective was, because in the laning phase, they made 7 plays, 2 of them to topside, to get him ahead of Fake God. They took Grubs up there as well. Now, Shopify said, we're going to go bot lane, and we're going to get Wild Turtle and Zazel ahead. That didn't end up working out. Insanity ended up leading the team in damage, but then they just seemed uncoordinated in attempted team fights. Also, Umpty was ahead of Boogie on almost all their plays, really making Boogie end up in a hole overall. So, Yeon 5-1-6, 31% of damage. Core JJ 0-1-10. So the bot lane 5-2-16. Insanity 0-4-1, 29% of damage in the loss. Like I said, this game, we're just going to go on to the next one. 100 Thieves, Cloud9. Cloud9 win this one. They smoke 100 Thieves. They were ahead by a ton. There was a pause. 100 Thieves kind of crawl back into where they were in like shouting distance, and 100 Thieves put them out of their misery. Blabber on the Xin Zhao leads the team in damage. That is just ridiculous. Laning phase, 8-3 and making plays. He was ahead of River everywhere. River on the Nocturne got like nothing off in terms of ganks. It just was so ineffective. Sniper into Fudge. He was just like trying, but at the same time, it was like, hey, they're on an island and they're just playing their own game. It's just a 1v1 for other reasons, and the rest of the team plays 4v4. In terms of diffies at the end of laning phase, there's a 4K gold lead at 17-20. I think it nearly doubled in the next handful of minutes. And then CS diff 13-22, 22 and 14 for Cloud9 at that time. Like, they were gapping in every place. Blabber 628, 25% of damage. Jojo Pune 605 on the Akali. Quid 122, 31% of damage in the loss. FlyQuest Immortals. This game was the big shocking part to me was how bad Masu was at Jhin in this one. Now they win the game in part because of Jensen. Jensen ends up being MVP, solo killing Mask at one point. Ton of damage on the Azir. Yeah, a ton of damage, ends up leading the team 27%. But Masu on the Jhin, I thought Busio hit more arrows than Masu hit with his ulti for Jhin, and he gets 4 times the shots. Like, honestly, it got to a point where it was like, hey, you're better off not trying to run out of the V here if you're Immortals, because if you run out of the V, then the other FlyQuest members are waiting there. You're better off being a fish in a barrel, because the guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It was a rough game for the Jhin, in my opinion. But Immortals are just not very good. So, they frankly just run them over. And you had moments where Ole, similar to Ignar earlier, and I'm not just saying this because it's Korean import supports, but he's just hooking in the Olaf, and was like, hey, let's hook Bwipo, the Olaf, and just bring him right to our team so he can just kill us all. Essentially what happened. So, Jensen, 601, 27% of damage. Masu, 306. Mask, 230, 43% of damage in the loss. A far cry from the 07 game that he had yesterday. NRG and Dignitas. NRG win this one. It was a slugfest. Plays were, it's a crazy number. Where is it? Down there. 13-6 in favor of NRG. This laning phase was top lane focused for both teams. We had a trade of kills top. NRG would go top. Dig would go top twice. NRG would go top twice. Like, NRG would go top again before 17 minutes. Like, I'm not even saying like the other plays. There were 13 plays by NRG. Contracts is my MVP. He was everywhere. Palafox even got involved on the Corki at times. It was like, hey, the top side's where all this was happening. The bot lane, it's like, whatever. FBI, Hui, Senna, Tom Kench versus Tomo, Isles. There was a moment where Isles got caught out in his jungle, but otherwise it was just like, oh, well, they're just similar to how I was saying C9 and 100 Thieves. It was like, okay, for the top side, it's like this one, bot side. This is all them. Jace Rumble is the matchup. Dokla, Rich. And Rich even solo killed at one point. Dokla solo killed at one point. It's just honestly a mess. So, NRG win that sloppy game. Dokla led the team in damage, going 5, 6, and 6, if that doesn't describe it. 31%. Palafox, 801 in mid. Tomo, 132, 30% of damage in the loss. So, that's it for those games. Now we're going to sneak peek for tomorrow. LPL, BLG, and Top Esports start the season off. BLG second in my power rankings, Top 5th. Last time they played was in summer playoffs. BLG won 3-1. There are 6 of the 10 remaining players in the game. Sean and Elk went 46, 24, and 83 for 47% of their team's damage. Tian and Jackie Love would go 27, 35, and 72 for 49% of their damage in the loss. Then we have RNG and EDG. Half of the players are the same. RNG won 2-0 in summer when they played. Breathe and Wei would go 5, 3, and 25, 42% of damage in the win. Ale and JJ, 2, 12, 10, 33% of damage in the loss. Now, damn, there's a big old bug flying around that's going to freak me the hell out if it comes over here. Now, LEC, quickly, sneak peek for tomorrow. SK BDS. BDS won 3-0 last summer playoffs when they played. Adam and Lebrav, 9, 16, 53, 20% of damage in the win. Irrelevant and DOS, 5, 14, 36, 24% of damage in the loss. 7 of the 10 players are the same. Fnatic and Giants X have never played. However, when Fnatic played XL last year and beat XL 3-2 in playoffs, Oscarinin, Razork, and Noah went 43, 38, and 103 assists for 62% of their team's damage. Otawamne, Peach, and Patrick went 41, 34, and 98 for 65% of their team's damage. Mad Lions, Koi, and Rogue have never played. The last time Marcoon and Elyoya crossed paths, Marcoon was with SK last year, he would win the game 9-0-10, 17% of damage. Elyoya 1-4-1, 13% of damage in the loss. Vitality G2. Last time they played, G2 would win. 6 of the 10 players remain. Broken Blade on a Scion, I believe, went 1-0-8, 22%. Photon 201, 22% of damage in the loss on a Gragas. Lastly, Team Heretics Carmine Corp. They've never played. When Yankos and Flackid last played Bow and Upset, they would win. Yankos and Flackid went 6-2 and 13, 52%. Bow and Upset 2-5-12, 40% of damage in the loss. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.